Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Well, viewers, we love economical cars on No Budget Reviews. We also love last minute filming. This is a 2006 Vauxhall Corsa 1.2 Twinport design. It's owned by a very old friend of mine called Paul. There was another car I was going to film in Sussex today, but the owners unfortunately had to cancel. So I've known Paul having this car since way before I ever operated in my current job. He's had this car since 2012. And before that, it was owned by a friend of his who did 24,000 miles in a year. She used to go round, I think, like operating milking equipment for cows, so it went around farms and things like that. So noticed all the sort of bits of missing trim and, you know, scratches and things. It wasn't all done by her, but she did 24,000 miles in a year in this. Because it's such short notice, Paul's not had time to get it cleaned, but this is how we kind of like it. It is just one of these cars that you see everywhere, and I know quite soon, because of the low values of these will be gone. You know, within probably the next 5 years, these will start to really decrease in number. Because one of Britain's best-selling cars, I actually took driving lessons in one of these in 2001. It was an early one of these. This is a facelift one. It's a much later on in production, from 2006, the year the Corsa D came out. So it's got the twin port engine in it, which was from 2003 onwards. Very, very clear dials in this one, and you can tell you've got a luxurious Corsa C because you've got a seat height adjuster in this one. Now, the original stereo, which was completely idiot proof, it's one of the biggest buttons I've ever seen in my life on a stereo, has been swapped out for a more useful unit with things like USB capability and things like that, and Bluetooth, which you can do. Obviously, most people who used to own these cars when they were new, a lot of younger drivers had them and they would do that sort of thing, but the original radios are sort of idiot proof. Well, we might actually get that out a bit later on because we've considered the car, so we'll take a look. Glove box. We just reach over and grab my secret mission documents and see if they fit in. Oh no, viewers. No! Oh! Hopeless. Right. Gonna have to go in there. There we are. Yeah, I mean, there's not any soft touch plastic in here, but I mean, for a car of this era and this type, you just don't get things like soft touch plastic. Same column stalks, I think, as a Lotus Elise. There you are, viewers. We're a really good company today. The SXI that actually my former housemate had before we got married had things like fog lamps and alloy wheels. Same engine and everything, but he had that from 2010 to 2017, so I'm actually quite familiar with Corsa Cs because I drove that car quite a lot. Nice normal handbrake, trim looks quite good. This car's actually got an electric sunroof, which his one didn't, so but just different types of trim. Vauxhall trim levels are really confusing from the 2000s anyway, so whether the design or the SXI was more expensive, I can't remember, but it depends what you prefer. I think the SXI has a slightly different suspension as well, and I think even like between the 1 litre and 1.2s and the 1.8s and the forbidden fuel cars, they've got different suspension in them, but don't quote me on that, viewers. One of the things I do remember about these is to leave the interior light on, which I didn't realise for a long time. You push this switch in like that, and that can turn it on or off. that's the way you do it, which I didn't realise for a long time, but it's not immediately obvious then at all, but that's the way that you do it in this car. There is a dimmable instrument thing, and also headlamp levelling just there. That would be where the other fog light switch would be. Non-adjustable steering column, which means that being in one of these with the seat height adjuster is even more important. I would recommend you get one if you can find one. Massive idiot-proof hazard light switch. You can tell this car was very popular as a driving school car. I think General Motors used to give driving schools a discount on these, and the 1 litre Expression when I drove, which had 57 horsepower I think, was very slow. Very, very slow, but very light steering, because all Corsa Cs have electric power steering in them. Even the 1 litre base models actually have it. So yes, door here, it's pretty hard wearing. I mean, like many cars of this era, that sagging a bit. Headlining is good though. That's not doing anything. I always think with these, on the other side, we'll see in a second, that the mirror is really strange, because on the other side it has indentations on the outside of it. I don't really know why. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's always been one of the things I've never understood about these. Right, I think that's my driving position I've got there, so I'll just get into the back. We'll go around the other side, it's a little bit easier. Okay, so yeah, the seats are about the same, so this is a representation, which is fair. I mean, there's not the most room in here, but there's masses of room to put your feet underneath here. My head is actually not quite touching the roof, so for a little short journey it wouldn't be too bad. I mean, certainly if you had children, this would be an ideal little car to run to the school in or something. Cup holder is there. That is the one cup holder in the car. The backrest adjustment is just here. No armrest in here. You wouldn't expect that in a car like this. And I've just looked at the door pockets. There's huge, massive door bins right at the bottom here. So quite practical, although exposed screw heads are maybe not the thing you want to see particularly. The SXI has sort of a half Artico leather, or I think it might be real leather interior. This is just a fabric one. Let's just get out. Oh gosh, that's not a lot of legroom really. Oh. This would originally have had some hubcaps on it. They, I think, went the way of a dodo driving around all those farms. Is that you? Okay. I remember these as well. They're not sort of actually pieces of string, they're pieces of rubber. I'm not going to move all Paul's stuff out of here. As I said, we've actually organised this filming at quite short notice. It's not a chance to clear his stuff up, but there is a spare wheel under there. The boot's actually quite large. If I lift the parcel shelf up, it's over. I think it's over 200 litres, which in a car of this age and this type isn't too bad. You can also get some quite large things in here. I think I once got a bike in my former housemate's one of these, and look, someone's actually put a handle just there. So if you're shorter driver, you can just pick that up and put it in. So I'll just go around to the front. I'll just open the bonnet. It might actually be on the left in this car. No, it's on the right. Okay, great. Often cars built in places like Germany or Spain or something have it on the left. But there you can see about the mirror there. A bit of a lack appeal going on. I mean, this car's done 102,000 miles, so it's not really surprising in some ways, really. So I'll just pause here because I only need two hands to open the bonnet, and we'll have a look at the 1.2 Family Zero engine. One thing Vauxhall did try to do with these, and it's quite obvious, they tried to make it quite easy for the average person to see what you should check and where it was. So you've got the bonnet stay goes in that yellow bit there. Windscreen washer fluid's got a yellow cap. So is the coolant reservoir. The battery lives underneath there, which is a little bit annoying because you have to sort of take bits off to sort of get to that. Like this bit has to come off to actually get to the battery. Not a very big battery in this, but I just find that a bit annoying myself. I think that actually might be the oil filter, which would be a cartridge type in this. Although I might be wrong about that, viewers, don't quote me. Dipstick's right at the front, just there, and same oil filler cap on all sorts of stuff like Vectras and asterators, things like that. The two most common problems with this engine are the oil pressure switch, which is like a £5 part, but is quite annoying because it puts the engine management light on sometimes and can cause it to leak. And this car has had some oil leaks, and my former housemate's one also, same engine as this, also had oil leaks at like 10,000-12,000 miles or something. So it's quite common for these to have leaks. But the biggest one is if you don't change the oil regularly, it can cause chain cam failure in this engine, which is not great. It tends to happen at much higher mileages. This car's fine, it's never happened. But I think the radiator's got a slight leak in it somewhere. It's not a bad one, but it's somewhere. So little sort of issues. And one of the things that I noticed in my former housemate's one was the bulkhead actually leaks, and I can't remember where it is. I think it's a bulkhead, or it's one of these seals somewhere with this door, and you end up with a passenger footwell full of water. But you know, really, it's not that bad. There are some electrical issues that these can have as well, but for a car of this sort of age and this type, and the price point that these are available for, I mean, way beyond kind of under half no budget reviews money some of these can cost with an MOT now. So, you know, if you're just in a little run around, these are actually pretty good. Okay, let's have a little drive. So here we are, viewers, just driving through a little village in West Sussex. I've forgotten just how kind of compact and relatively easy to drive these are. I don't particularly like the long throw of the gearbox, but you're not likely to put it in the wrong gear. That's one thing I can say for it. And obviously if you're at driving school, that's what you want. You want to be sure what gear you're putting it into. This 1.2 Twinport engine, which has 79 horsepower, it feels actually quite responsive. The other engines available were the 1 litre 3-cylinder, same basic design as this Family Zero, but with just 57 horsepower. When it went to the Twinport version in 2003, that was upgraded to 59 horsepower. And this 1.2 originally was 74 horsepower, and then up to 79 in 2003. I think there was also a family 1 engine available in these in certain markets, but I'm not actually 100% sure. The car was made all over the world. I mean, in some surprising places, and we'll cover that in a little while when we look at the extraordinarily long list of trim levels that this car was available in. There's so many of them I can't actually remember them and actually talk to you at the same time, so we'll do that when we parked up again. There was also a 1.4 engine that had 89 horsepower both before and after the facelift. I don't know why they didn't change the power output of it, but yeah, I'm not sure. The most powerful engine in these was the 1.8 Family 1 engine, which also was used in the Astra H, and in fact I've owned a car with that engine myself, and the Vectra, and that developed 125 horsepower. There were also some diesels available, but as usual, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. For quite a while it was very common to see these modified, and actually there will come a time when standard ones of these are quite rare. That's why I think one of these was on the Maguire's stand at the NEC Classic Car Show recently. I think it was 2001 in like some sort of salmon pink colour. The ride is still quite firm. I remember that when my former housemate had his, and the driving position is much better once you've got the seat height adjusted in the right place, although the wheel not moving might not suit everybody. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a sort of sprinter rather than a cruiser, because the gearing is very short in this car. It's not really designed for economy. If you're doing 70 on the motorway, you're going to be pulling about 4,000 RPM in this, so it's quite noisy. Other than that, it's not too bad. The electric steering is quite good actually for a system like this. It's not too light. It hasn't got a city button like the Mark II Fiat Punto would have, but you know, it's okay. I think a Mark 6 Ford Fiesta, which I have had on no budget views, I've had a Mark II, a Mark 6 and a Mark 7. The Mark 6 drives better than this. It's got a bit of a sweeter engine and a nicer gearbox, and the steering's a bit better. But you know, it's not bad. If you're just after something that's inexpensive and easy to look after, and is going to have very cheap parts, then it's hard really to not recommend one of these, particularly for the prices that these are available for. If you don't want this sort of best example out there, and there's lots of them available all over the place. You know, they really are one of the most sort of common, you know, no budget cars I've seen. Maybe the Mark 1 Ford Cat. There is a Mark 1 Ford Cat just there. It's kind of similar in that way. But yes, I've quite enjoyed sort of almost revisiting a bit of history with this, because I learned to drive in one. It wasn't any car I drove in. I learned to drive in several cars, and my house had one for so many years. So it's been kind of fun in that way. So viewers, let's have a look at some of the places where the Corsa C was made. It had other names as well. My favourite one is in Japan. I didn't realise these were sold in Japan. They were for a brief time, and it was called the Opel Vita. Not the Viva, the Vita. In Australia, known as the Holden Barina. Now, it wasn't sold for very long in Australia, and actually General Motors were a bit sneaky, and they got rid of the car and replaced it with another car called the Barina, but it's actually a rebadged Chevrolet Kalos or Aveo, which is not really the same quality as one of these. I do hope to do one of those on my channel at some point. The first generation of Aveo, the second one was a lot nicer. Actually, either one of those would be nice. And you know, get in touch at the email address that's about a minute into the video if you're interested in supplying one to me. So yeah, it was made in Germany, in Spain, in Brazil, South Africa, Egypt, Argentina and Ecuador. So there should be quite a few of these around the world in various places. The trim levels in this country anyway were Active, Club, Comfort, Elegance, Expression, which is the base model, GLS, that sounds like a sort of hangover from a long time previously, Life, SRI, SXI, Design, which is this one, Breeze, which is a special edition I think, Classic, Energy, Exclusive, without the extra E on the end of V, which always annoys me with Vauxhalls like that, SXI Plus, and then the GSI, which was 1 to 1.8 litre. So should you consider a Corsa C with your budget of up to £1,000? Well, it is probably quite a good choice. I mean, a Fiesta does drive a little bit better than this, and there are cars that have better interior quality than one of these. But actually, I've been surprised how sort of comfortable and relatively easy to drive this is, particularly with this electric power steering system. And there's a lot of choice out there still. You know, a few years time it probably won't be, but it's actually a pretty good car. I never particularly liked my former housemate's one at the time, but actually this really isn't too bad. Even one that's done quite a few miles like this, it seems pretty good. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Thank you to Paul for supplying this car to the channel at very short notice. And please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment below, and we'll see you again for some more inexpensive automotive fun.